Hello friends, hello fellow spiritual seekers, it's Hannah Sebastian. I was so excited about recording this video right now, and then I just received a notice that my battery's about to die, so we'll see how far I can get. I wanted to talk to you about how to follow your soul guidance, because I have been on a huge journey away from soul and back toward connection with soul in the last several weeks. And I want to share that journey with you and just how much it has opened up my life and my understanding for how to follow soul guidance. For anyone who is still finding that inner voice and finding the path to constantly following the soul, which I think we'll all be on eternally. So let me tell you a little about the journey I've been on. I was in a high vibration state, highly soul connected for a long time, until recently. And so what happened recently was I got very carried away in my enthusiasm for this work and sharing this message. I've been receiving really great soul guidance for just the last couple of years, and then I spent more than a decade before that trying to develop my intuitive guidance. And so I felt really excited to share what I've learned. And then I also started receiving, for the very first time in my life last July, angelic messages. And there was just so much I wanted to share that I started to basically overwork and produce too much, too many videos and things like that, that I started to feel tired and sick. And there was one day, 4 weeks ago, when I was sitting down to record a video, and I did receive an inner message of no, don't do it. And so I received the soul guidance and I didn't follow it. And I immediately after that came down, lost my voice and came down with a dreadful cold. Couldn't speak for 10 days, and then just now I'm still getting my voice back. I think it's really important to point out that I don't believe I was in any way being punished for not following soul. I know a lot of people believe that they're being tested. I don't believe that. I sincerely believe we live in a friendly universe, and that we're never being tested by our soul, by angels, or by God, creator, spirit, universe, whatever word you use for that higher power. But I do believe there's natural consequences. I believe our soul is here to guide us toward everything we desire and guide us away from all obstacles. And in that moment, I was overworked. I needed to rest. I was impatient because I had actually received the message to rest the day before and did follow it. And so this time I was like, oh, it's just a 15-minute video. I'll just record it. I'll just ignore soul this one time. And my soul was trying to tell me that I was at my breaking point. But I didn't listen, and so I just received that natural consequence of having the thing my soul was trying to guide me away from happen. And so I lost my voice, I couldn't speak, I was very sick, my husband got sick too. It was extremely challenging to take care of the children and keep up with all of our responsibilities while being so sick. It was pretty brutal. And I actually went into a depression, and I wrote a post about this on Facebook. Which reminds me, if you are on Facebook, give me a follow if you want to learn more about following your soul guidance and conscious living and maintaining a high vibration and entering into this golden era of human consciousness that we are now all in, the 5D. And if you're on YouTube and you're interested in all of those things, go ahead and subscribe. I'd love to have you in my community in either place. So I put a post on Facebook about how I had been depressed lately. It's not like me. It is my belief that depression is always caused by soul disconnection. So I was feeling deeply disconnected from my soul. Now, of course, you can't ever disconnect from your soul, because your soul is the streaming life force conscious energy that is animating you. And obviously, the only way that would ever disconnect is if you died and returned to complete union with your soul. So there is no disconnection, but I felt disconnected. I couldn't receive the guidance and the flow of love and peace that I have come to rely on. That just makes me feel so incredible every day, that without it, I went into a depression. And other times, if I lose it for a few minutes, I might feel anxious or unease. It really can be brutal. when you're used to being at a high vibration, you know, when you're used to being in a high vibration state, it's brutal to come out of it for even a moment. So I've had these period of weeks where I've felt a little disconnected from my soul, or I was reconnecting in, only to lose it, and just allowing life to cause a reaction, an emotional reaction in me, rather than going within to that source energy connection, my soul connection, and shining out my bright light onto the world, which I think is a place that all of us find ourselves in sometimes. And I learned a lot from that. I definitely learned to have self-compassion and try to not have resistance against the dark moment that you're in. Resistance being all the negative feelings about it, pushing against it, wishing it wasn't happening, because that just makes it prolonged. So, you know, I did my best to be gracious about it, to be graceful in my disconnection and just ride it out. And I don't know if I succeeded, but I did what I could. So in the last few days, I have reconnected in the most powerful way. And I think I'm at a higher vibrational state than possibly I've ever been. And so it just reminds me and made me inspired to come and share with other spiritual seekers that there is a feeling, an extraordinary experience of life that is available to all of us. Because now that I'm reconnected to my soul and I'm following my soul guidance in every moment, including this moment where I was guided to connect with my friends and my community who is going through a lot of these same challenges and opportunities, everything is flowing for me again. Everything is working perfectly. Every moment is so divinely connected to the next thing. And it's like I'm being guided, go here, even though it doesn't make sense, I go there, and there's some beautiful opportunity or experience waiting for me. Or I'm on a phone call and I'm being told, hey, hop off this call, and in that exact moment, the other person is like, sorry, I've really got to get off now. Just everything is flowing so beautifully. And it reminds me that this is how we're meant to live. We are meant to live with an absolute ease and flow. Everything is meant to feel easy and fun, joyful and expansive. Everything. So in this moment of feeling so high vibe and just so reconnected, I wanted to share some insights that have been coming through for me. I received this message last night that was so beautiful, and it was an angelic message that said for all of us that we are being asked to take a leap without a net and fly. And taking the leap means to look within, tune out all of the outer noise, look within, receive our soul guidance, and follow it no matter what, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it doesn't seem like it's leading to something, even when it goes against everything that everybody else is telling us we should do, which is really scary, especially when you're first doing it. It's super scary because you don't know. It's not like there's some gold stamp on the guidance as it comes in. That one's real guidance from your soul. And those other things that are bubbling around in your mind that you think you should do all the time are, have like a big X on them. That's your brain telling you stupid crap that you shouldn't follow. I wish it was that clear. How many of us have followed what seemed like a really great idea and burned up a ton of time and or energy and or whatever other sacrifices we may have made, only to have it not go anywhere? And looking back, you can say that wasn't aligned. One of the messages that I also received is that there is no such thing as a misstep. So even when we are disconnected and even when we make a choice that is not aligned, for example, with me and choosing to record a video that pushed me past my health breaking point and made me lose my voice, I gained so much wisdom that I can share with other people from that. And I did reconnect back in at a higher level vibration. So it all does work out. But the important thing is that you take that leap, that you be willing to follow the guidance and to sort of play around with it. So here are the 5 things. I have my really adorable little travel notebook that I use. Here are the 5 things that you can, 5 things that you can help you know whether what you're receiving is soul guidance or just some other noise. So first, let's just talk about what soul guidance is, because everybody receives their soul guidance a little differently, and it will be different if you're just starting your journey of intuitive receiving versus if you've been doing it for a long time. So there are a bunch of different ways that you can receive intuitive guidance: feelings, whims, nudges, impulses, signs, messages that the universe is giving you. Some of us receive with numbers. My daughter is always getting number messages from the universe. Sometimes it would be a sign like a bird singing, or like my microphone keeps breaking, and I'm like, okay, I got the message that I need to get a higher quality mic. Like my microphone keeps breaking in really weird ways that don't make sense. You know, and then of course it can come in feelings, if I didn't already say that. And as you start to develop your intuitive receiving, or if you're just naturally very good at it, you'll start to receive words or pictures. And I'm sure there's other ways that it can come through, but all of these can be guidance, can be true soul guidance. And the problem is, of course, to know whether it is or not, because we are receiving a lot of static on the line, a lot of noise. We have the brain that won't shut up these days. Our brains, for most of us, are on constant, just autopilot, jabbering all kinds of stories at us that aren't true. And then, of course, there are all the messages from the people around us, from social media, from the traditional media, everywhere. So how do we know? So the first and most important thing I could say about this is that when you receive authentic soul guidance, it could scare you, it could make you extremely uncomfortable, but it should feel expansive. It should be exciting. It should light you up inside, even though you hate it. So it's like you might be being told to do something that you're so scared of, you hate it, you want to scream, you want to tear your hair out. But if you're honest, and if you tune in deep inside, this is why meditation practices are good, because you learn to tune in over time, you can feel that you're really excited and lit up by it. And that's number 1. Number 2 is that soul guidance is very direct. It does not contain a story. So it will just be, do this. Don't do that. Go here. Go here now. Go over there. Somebody contacted me recently to ask for advice on whether to pursue an opportunity. And I said, well, what is your soul telling you about it? And he said, my soul is saying that now is the time to capitalize on it because of these various variables. And I said, that's not your soul. That's a story. What does your soul say about it? And again, he was like, well, my soul says that these other things are going on, so that's why I should. I was like, no, I'm sorry. With all respect, that's not your soul. Your soul is going to tell you, yes, do it, or no, don't do it. And so then I was like, what is your soul telling you? And he was like, my soul says, do it. Go for it. I was like, that's it. Then you should. So it's very direct. There's no story. Every time you hear any sort of story, when you hear because of this, it is coming from your brain. It is absolutely coming from your brain. That is not soul guidance. So you can ignore that. And if it starts coming through in a more direct way, cool. Then your soul has stepped in to give you that same guidance. But your soul is not going to make up a story about it. Even in a really dangerous circumstance, your soul is not going to say, get off the elevator because that creepy guy is getting on and you're going to be shut in a steel cage with some creepo. Your soul is going to say, get off the elevator now. So, yeah, follow that. And of course, obviously, if you're hearing a story and you want to follow that about getting out of danger, then go for it. You know, you can't go wrong in that case. But just know that the stories come from your mind. And here, I guess when I say brain, I mean mind. Okay, that was number 2. Number 3 is not a guaranteed, but a lot of times our soul guidance is telling us the opposite of what everyone else is saying to us. That can be a good indicator. And similarly, I think number 4, similarly, a lot of times our soul guidance doesn't make sense. So if you're getting a nudge to go somewhere that doesn't make sense, let's say like you're with your kids and you're planning to go to the park and you get a nudge to go to some completely other place and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why would I bring my kids there? Soul guidance. Or like you're about to sit down and do a bunch of work and you're getting this nudge to go to a yoga class or drop down on the floor and do some yoga right there. Soul guidance. So it doesn't usually make sense or doesn't always make sense. And like I said, it's not what everybody is telling you to do. Let me expand on number 3. I started rushing through it because I think my battery might be about to die. But as far as what everyone else is telling you to do, I honestly think that one of the most damaging things that humans do is to consult other people before they've consulted themselves. And a lot of times people think it's like they're just gathering data and then they're going to make their own decision. I really recommend the opposite. Go within before you've told anyone else about the decision you're considering and see what your soul is telling you. And then you can consult other people and compare it to what you have. I don't know why you would, but let's say you're still transitioning out of dependence on other people's opinions. Go for it, but just realize that when you survey other people, it can start to make you feel unconfident about your own inner guidance. So realize that and learn from it, and the next time you may not feel like you need to survey anyone else. Okay, those were 3 and 4. And the 5th one is that if you just don't know if it's soul guidance, go ahead and try. Take a leap and see if it works. See what happens. Let it unfold a little bit, because if nothing else, you'll gain data about how to read the inner signs, because your soul guidance comes through your body. That's how we were designed. I call it our emotional alert system, because your emotions will tell you if you're feeling good and expansive and lit up, that you're receiving soul guidance right now, and pay attention. But so many of us are trained into feeling sort of flat or dull all the time that we don't even notice if something is lighting us up. And so even if you take a leap and follow something and it doesn't work out, at least you'll have that to say, okay, you know what? There was a little feeling of contraction about that I wasn't being honest with myself about. And then of course, vice versa, if you take that leap and things go amazingly, then you can kind of tune in and say, oh yeah, there was this like tiny little spark of expansion. And you'll notice it next time. So now you'll know what you're looking for in your body. And you definitely can get more sensitive over time. So please go ahead and share in the comments about your journey with learning to receive your soul guidance. Are you struggling? Or do you have wisdom that you've gained to share with the community? Give a follow on Facebook or subscribe on YouTube. I really look forward to hearing from you. Bye.